And in 1995, I was in a psychiatric institution with major anxiety disorder, panic disorder, PTSD, and depression. So welcome to the conference. I'm so happy you're here.
And so I don't mean to be flip, I really don't, but it's my story and I'm not ashamed, I'm not embarrassed. It's why I'm here with you today.
I am Tami West, and that is my story. Welcome to Consider Yourself Hugged, a place to find comfort and support as you navigate your mental and emotional well-being. So sit back and relax, unless you're driving, and get ready for this week's hug. Michelle remembered snacks. I did not, but then I went and got some. So did you all remember we're celebrating because it's module 10? Ooh, we should have music. I'll put music in post-production. So I have my favorite water and crackers. What do you have?
I have coffee in this is my new favorite day, Winnie the Pooh cup.
What?
And
Hit back up there. What does it say?
this is my new favorite day. Today is my new favorite day.
I love that. That's so sweet. Well,
And then I have a cranberry apple raisin bar, and it's very good. Probably can't see it. It doesn't look great, but it's very good.
it looks like a piece of sausage. So those of you
I mean, like if I'm going to pick a snack, it's going to have something sweet in it. I mean, that's just me. I'm not going to pick sausage for snack.
Okay, well, I'm going to confess something then. Are you ready?
Yes.
Okay. So we all have guilty pleasures that we shouldn't, like food related, that we shouldn't eat. And so a little while ago before we went to Costco, I love those packaged like apple fried pies.
Oh yeah.
That are they're like 500 calories and they're glazed on the outside. And Tim bought two and we ate them.
That sounds very good.
Yeah, but it
Very
was
good.
not good.
For our team retreat yesterday, they had Danishes yesterday for breakfast. So yeah.
Well, oh well, what do you do? I mean, my cholesterol is gonna just go up, but I am trying. I don't eat it all the time, but it was good.
But today we're celebrating. We are celebrating because this is module 10.
We are celebrating, and I told you that I was going to try to have take the certification before, but that did not happen because we traveled a little bit. And I opened it up, but some of the questions are going to take a little bit of thought, so I didn't want to rush and not pass. But this week, I'm taking the test. Yeah. So, should we start with module 9 like we always do?
Yes, go ahead.
So module 9, if you all remember, was about communication, gratitude, and relationships. And I feel like other than we talked about some of like the conversational tools, I didn't really have an opportunity to do any of that since last time we were together. But Tim and I, Michelle, did go to the beach. So we have some friends that go to church with us, and they're just our friends. And they have a beach house that they rent, but they mark off time to stay in it. So they invited us to go down. So we went down for like 4 days, and it was just so nice. And I know early on in the module, which is probably one of the things I want to mention about what I learned during this time, is just about relationships and how, especially during the pandemic, I just was like, yeah, I don't need relationships. I'm an introvert. But it's so crazy how you can just tell yourself something. And like I've been telling myself, okay, fine, but you do need positive relationships, like with you, in our relationship. And Karen and I, they have a pool. We were in the pool like one of the days for 3 hours. We stayed out there and just talked. And then we would lay on our loungers and we would read. We each have our books we were reading, and then we'd get back in the water. And every morning we walked on the beach. And I was just so grateful for that. And so this whole relationship and gratitude thing has really reminded me that it is important to appreciate people and to spend time with people and to thank them and just be, oh my gosh, we didn't have to, we just stayed with them. It wasn't like we had to pay to rent it. And so it was just this huge blessing. It was amazing. So that was me.
Yeah, I would absolutely agree. I think this lesson definitely reminded me to pay attention to relationships and the people in my life. I think that busyness can be such a
Mm,
distractor. And it also, like, all the lessons, all these modules, they do tie together. And like we did one where we listed priorities. And so, like, I mean, I know I would always say, family, friends, those are the priorities, but is the way I spend my time, do I make time
right.
to represent that? And so this was just reinforcement for that. So I definitely spent more time reaching out and appreciating, having gratitude for those relationships. I was very grateful when you FaceTimed me that
Oh,
the
I forgot.
beach, the sunset. Yes. So grateful because I love the beach. It's definitely a place of peace and serenity for me. And so I got to see a really pretty
It
um,
was pretty.
beach sunset. So I would say the same. It's just relationships are a priority. So I need to
Mhm.
conduct my life like they are.
And I think this has helped us both to do that, And just so you all know, Michelle and I are going to the beach in January, right?
January. Yes.
We're speaking that out loud so that it's on the calendar. We're going to do a
Yes.
little working friendship retreat, see what we want to
Yes.
do in 2025 and just do whatever the heck we want.
Yes, there's no better place to figure out your plan for the year than at the beach.
I know. Of course, Laguna might be a little bit better. Maybe we should look at flights. You never know.
That's true.
Although it's really expensive to stay there. But all right, anyway, squirrel. So,
Okay.
okay, so we did modules 1 through 9, and 10 is a review, a recap. What did we learn? And you want to kick us off? We talked about we were going to learn. We were each going to share. What did we say?
5.
Five
We
things.
said, I think 3 to 5. So depending on how long it takes us, but 5 maybe.
Mm-hmm.
And so, like, yeah, I will go first, and I'll say that my number one was the when we talked about like joy and happiness and incorporating things into life day to day that help cultivate those moments. That is definitely the number one best thing I feel that I got from the module. And I have some things here to just kind of show some things. And they're so simple, but they make a difference in my day often. I showed this
Oh,
already, the
the Snoopy.
Snoopy notepad. Um, like I said, I try to have cups that I like that are cute. I know this basically it's Snoopy and Winnie the Pooh. It makes me look like a child, but I don't care. These are things that like bring happiness throughout the day. I have things now kind of in front of me, just like you had talked about, that are um, meaningful, positive, give very positive vibes when I look at them. And I've redone my office
Yes.
to accommodate that as well. So there are just so many things like appreciating sunsets, appreciating
Um,
just how beautiful. I mean, Tennessee is such a beautiful state. Like just appreciating things like that, appreciating moments with family, friends, all of those things. So
and those of you who are not, if you're just listening, you couldn't see, but we'll post pictures of Michelle's um, Winnie the Pooh cup. And I think I posted already the picture of Snoopy, the
so
to-do
too,
list.
and I'll send you a picture of the pink chase I got from my office, just because it's quirky, but brings
We
me
post
joy.
we posted that before, so I think I have it. So I'll repost
Oh,
it.
did you? Okay. And I
Yeah.
have a cushion on it now that says "Give thanks with a grateful heart."
Oh, well, then send me another picture. I love, should we just go back and forth then
Yes,
from
yes,
you to
yes,
me?
yes.
And it's funny because I put my top thing was related to this, but I put, yeah, I'm going to save that. The How We Feel app was huge for me because it it allowed me to think every morning. So I'm not quite as faithful. I'm still using it because I think we've trained ourselves a little bit to notice without being legalistic about having to put it in. But in the beginning, because it has like what 100 emotions or something in there, and so it really allowed me to see how I was feeling and the trends. And when you notice that a lot of the things you're putting in there are negative, and then it goes back to what you said, and reminding that we have a choice, you know, in taking moments to incorporate. It can be short moments. I mean, for what you're talking about is you're looking at a mug, right? You're writing on something special. You have something pretty in front of you. You're noticing when you go outside. It's not like we have to take hours every day and just stop what we're doing just to do this. It's incorporating it like moments all day long. So, yep, that was my top one, was the how we feel. What was your second?
So the second one for me was actually the how we feel. So
All right.
and so like incorporating into like my day being more like acknowledging more throughout the day during times when I um didn't ordinarily. Like correlating that I'm generally more positive and I'm going to put more happy emotions when I have more energy, knowing that generally exercise in the morning gives me more energy. That's just how I'm designed. Like, even when there are times when it's, I would much rather spend the extra 30 or 45 minutes in bed, that does not give me the energy that actually just getting up and exercising does. And so, by holding myself accountable to paying attention to how I feel and when and what's going on around that time, that has been able to shift some things. So I think I mentioned to you in the podcast when we talked about it that like I generally don't rate myself as with a positive emotion if I have low energy.
Yes. Yeah.
So
Well, and that's huge too, because it does, you can look at your trends and see, I think for both of us, my emotions were always best after during walking Charlie, spending time outside, doing those active things. That's huge. That's funny. That was my number one and your number two. All right. My number two was actually the strengths assessment. Like I was when Michelle and I started, it was funny because we both have piles of paper. Like I try not to print stuff out that's not really necessary to print out, but and I think you too have written so many things on here. And I try to have them in order, like in my big stack. But the strengths assessment, I think we took in like session 2 or 3, but I keep digging it out and digging it out and digging it out. And two of the big epiphanies for me that just keep coming up is this. Well, one is humility. And so reminding myself that humility is not the same thing as low self-esteem, that humility, because that's if you haven't listened to we say this every time, but if you haven't listened to the former ones, this session is probably not going to make a lot of sense. But the Strengths Finder gives you the 24 strengths that research shows gives most people, their sense of positivity and happiness. And then it rates them for you. So, and your top 5 are the really important things for you to look at. And number 3 for me was humility. So it was just understanding that, but then also the love of learning and curiosity. And I really am trying to put more I love listening to podcasts. I love historical fiction. I love, so sometimes Hidden Brain is a podcast I love, and I'm not sure if I've put that in the show notes, but there's one currently, they're doing a series on emotions. So I listened to the one, like the first one that came out last week or the week before, and the author they were interviewing has a book called Ritual, which I don't think I've told you about. So I bought it on Audible and then I bought it on Kindle. And I'm going to incorporate it into my next speaking thing. And I'm just so excited and happy when I'm listening to it and just trying to make sense of it. So that was my second, was really understanding those strengths and saying, yeah, that makes me feel really good.
Wonderful.
So what was your third?
So my third was the priorities graph that we made, where we wrote down what we wanted to achieve,
Mhm.
what kind of how high on our priority list it was. We changed kind of things a little bit, but I really did notice that some of the things that were very important in priorities that I would have considered priorities to me, I was not spending the time on them as if they were priorities. And so that was pretty eye-opening. And I have tried to change things to be more in line with either, well, really, it's not that big of a priority if I'm not willing to spend the time on it, or I need to shift things to where I make time for it. So that was a really big thing.
Priorities. I don't think that was on mine anywhere. I don't know what that means, but I don't know.
Well, maybe that just means your goals are very aligned with what you spend your time on.
Yeah, maybe. I'm trying to remember which module that was, but anyway, I'll find it. I'll um put the different modules with our notes as to what our things were. We're hoping you all are going to share with us too. Okay, my third one was the mindfulness, the being present and mindfulness, which kind of relates to what you were talking about with the first one. And just as a reminder to everybody, this whole concept of positive psychology is not ignoring the negative things in your life, not trying to fix things, but it's looking at what is bringing me joy in my life and how can I do that more. So the mindfulness one for me, I probably could have put it as one or two, but I've really tried to take more time to notice. If you've been on here at all for the last 10 weeks, I've talked about it like 4 times. Walking in the morning when the sun is coming up, and the fountain by the pool, and then even one day I was walking and there were construction sounds, and I think I posted about it. I think I posted on Facebook that I had said that construction sounds, one time a while back, I had said that construction sounds don't elicit a positive emotion like water. But then I was like, it's kind of relevant. It's in context because it was early and the construction workers were out and it was cold and the sun was out. And it just felt hearing the beep, the backup reverse sound and the digging and the clink, clink, clink. And it made me really happy. It made me feel like I was out there in a part of like the morning that not everybody was a part of. So just really trying to take a moment. And I posted too. Did you see my fortune cookie that I got the other day?
Yes.
It said, take time to smell the roses. And I was like, I'm trying. I'm really trying. So that's my number three.
So my number 4 was the gratitude.
What? Me too. Go ahead.
So your 4 was the gratitude as well.
Yes.
And so we talked before, like I mentioned in that module that, it is something that I before I thought like I relied pretty heavily on that, particularly in difficult times. But then I realized that it's more than just that. It's more than just kind of being grateful. It can bring happiness and joy, like to pay attention to things you're grateful for every single day throughout the day. And so I mentioned kind of like reading The Nightingale during 2020 and kind of being like, oh, I'm so grateful that like things aren't like they were then. It's hard now, but it's not like that. But at the same time, like that's an example of how something really big can be helped with gratitude, but also day to day can be.
What are some things that, I don't mean to put you on the spot, but what are some things that you've noticed that you're grateful for that you may not have noticed before?
So I think that like for me, because like things that bring me joy and happiness in the moment are things that I'm very grateful for. So like if I'm driving to work and like I see like a beautiful sunrise,
Mhm.
or like laughing, whether at work with family, like spending a moment where even though things are kind of hard and chaotic, we take a moment to laugh about something. I'm grateful
Yeah.
for like people I get to work with. I'm so grateful for, I've already mentioned being very grateful for, you know, family, friends, but just noticing those things every day. And it really is about being intentional and taking the time
It's
to do
intentional.
that. Yeah, it's intentional. And it's not that I'm not grateful for those things, but if I'm, not that I wasn't grateful for those things before, but I wasn't intentional about savoring that in the moment.
You weren't
And
bringing
it
it
can,
like top of mind, like,
right, right. And because this whole module is about positive emotions. And if we're cultivating more positive emotions, like savoring those things throughout the day can really do that.
I like that word, intentional savoring. And then one time, a long time ago, you talked about being engaged, right? Is that the word you said that time that was like, if we don't engage in these things, we won't grow from them?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. I know one for you. I know one for you.
Okay.
Starbucks.
Oh yes, too much. Like it's
Every
almost
time,
like an addiction. I'm
every time
like,
I talk to Michelle, she's driving through. We talk a lot in the mornings when I'm walking and she's driving. She's always at Starbucks.
yes. Oh yeah, it's like I go to the gym and then go straight to Starbucks after. It's like there's this I may have a problem, but I love Starbucks and I'm very grateful and it's great. But like at some point, I'm like,
I have a terrible story about Starbucks
oh, okay,
before I go to my gratitude because I'm grateful for Starbucks too. I mean, it's cool out here in Middle Tennessee today. It's Saturday morning. It's beautiful outside. Tim and I left early to go do some errands, so it was like 45 degrees, and I'm like, "Ooh, this is pumpkin chai latte." By the way, if you all get pumpkin lattes, add a pump of chai in there. It gives you that. Anyway, so I order it, and I go into Starbucks, and there's a lot of people waiting. And I was like, And they did not make eye contact with anybody. But the people sitting there, I looked at them and I was like, is something going on? And she goes, yeah, their espresso machine is down. And I was like,
uh-oh,
so anyway, I didn't get my pumpkin chai latte, but I did just as a shout out to Starbucks. It was a little hard to find their customer service number, but when I found it, because I ordered on the app, when I found it, I called it. Somebody picked up within, you had to press one, press two, but they picked up within maybe a minute and she refunded my money within 3 minutes. It was back on my app. So,
oh, that's good to know.
yeah, because it was a $7 drink that I walked out without. So,
Yes, yeah.
anyway, it's enough about Starbucks, but I was very just sort of like when you sent me there that time to get you recommended the pumpkin cream cheese muffin.
Muffin, yes, they're
And they
so good.
didn't, they didn't have it. I still haven't had one. Is it seasonal? Like, well,
Yes, I think it'll be around through at least November, I think.
okay. Well, then my number four was, was that all about your gratitude?
Yes.
So my number four is gratitude as well. And we went to Costco this morning and they have, like you said, it's about being aware and being top of mind. And because it's easy to be negative about the things like that, right? Like, they didn't have my coffee. And we notice those things. They're top of mind. We complain about them. But what about when the good things happen? So Costco has these fire roasted root vegetables. They're like sweet potatoes and carrots and parsnips and a couple other things. And you just throw them in the air fryer for like 9 minutes. They're really healthy. Well, when spring or summer got here, they were gone from Costco. And not only Costco, from anywhere. You cannot find them anywhere. The same brand, I think it's Vita something. They all had these primavera, which was like zucchinis. And I'm like, I don't like that. So we were hoping it was going to come back in the fall, but October got here. You know, anyway, you know what I'm going to say, right? They're back.
Yay.
So I was so happy. But, and aside from that, even with people, you know, Tim has made a lot of changes in the last year, things that, you know, have been important to his health and things that I've bugged him a little bit about. And actually, I was thinking as I was writing these things before that I haven't really expressed that to him, you know, how grateful I am that because he knew it was important to me. So when we're done, I'm gonna go do that, you know? It's just the noticing. Because it's thanking Karen and Walker for letting us stay there, sending them a gift is like because it was something that they very obvious that they did. They let us stay there. But to just express gratitude to people for even things that they've done that aren't like they did it outwardly for you. Yeah, I want to notice those things. And it's made me more aware.
Wonderful. Me too.
Yeah. Okay. What's your last one?
So my last one, and I kind of went back and forth because there were so many different things that I got. So like narrowing it down to five was tougher, but also put the strengths, but I know yours was like higher on the list, but I put looking at strengths versus, you know, I think we talked during that module about how like it's like in my nature to go to the bottom of the list and be like, well, why am I not better at those things? And so like so like getting out of that mindset and looking at, okay, these are things I know are like strengths that I can build on and looking at it in that light versus I need to improve on XYZ. And so like looking at things, it's about learning to love who you are. And I think like that's something that I think probably just in the last few years I've really started to even be good at. And I think that's it's such a shame, right? To go all those years, but like really being comfortable with yourself, who you are, and yeah.
Good. That's funny that let me get the strengths again because we did talk about what you just said on that module, on that episode about how we both looked at the end, especially because my like, okay, I hate to call them bottom five, but my last five were self-regulation, which includes controlling one's appetite and emotions as I'm eating. Love.
We're celebrating.
That's right. Well, I already told you about the thing I wasn't celebrating. Teamwork, zest, and bravery. I totally know bravery is not my thing, but we talked about how we both looked at those bottom ones and thought, oh, but the point I think was just saying these top five are the ones that give you the most boost. You know, they're the ones that help you feel more joy in your life. So it's not necessarily that we're bad at the other ones. It's just that they're not the ones that feed our spirits, I think.
Yes.
Yeah. But loving who we are is a big part of this journey too.
Yeah, being comfortable with it. We don't have to, we're not talking about this module like talking about like, oh, we need to change, you need to change. It's not about that at all. It's just how can we increase our joy and happiness?
Yep. Well, and you're right. This is not about you need to change. There are things we all need to change, but that's just not what this is. So, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, if there is somebody out there who gets a lot of joy in their life by being negative all the time, then okay.
I don't know about that. I want to hear, well, you know how people will say about other people, well, they just love being a downer. They just love being negative. And I'm like, I don't really know if I agree with that per se. Um, anyway, that's another.
Interesting to talk to someone. I mean, because I think like you and I are fairly similar in the way we think about things. It would be interesting to get someone on that, you know, they are like that and they feel like that is the way they're happiest.
Hmm, I don't think I could. I don't think I could be on a podcast with someone like that. But you mean as a guest? You mean as a guest?
Yes,
Okay.
yes, I meant as a guest.
I thought you
Yeah.
meant like as another host. I'm like, I don't know. Although it is interesting to see podcasts where they have different. Anyway, we're squirreling again. So
Oh,
yeah.
yes, that's true. I'm sorry. That was absolutely me. Sorry about that.
No, I don't think it was. I'm not sure when it started, but all right. Well, my last one was positivity and optimism. And the reason is, and I didn't tell you I did this, but I'm going to tell you now. We can just do it real. I'll just tell you. Okay. When we did the mental health quotient, so if you all have followed us, we did like a 5 or 6 part series on and I'll put another link to that in the show notes. It's just coming up with there's like 6 domains of your mental health, and it scores you in each of those. And my score was lower overall than I thought it would be. And one of the areas that was low was optimism. And so when we did that module, I had to really stop and think, well, am I a negative person? But I don't think that I'm a negative person. So then as I was looking through, so the module 10 that comes with our coaching series asks a series of questions. And one of the questions is, see if your level of optimism has improved. But then I went back to that module and there was no real assessment on our levels of optimism. So I was like, well, I don't really know how to judge that. But looking back to now, I have to feel that overall it has, and it depends on the area. So I had AI write this quiz, and I'm not going to go through the whole thing. I'll post it in the show notes. I scored very high on this quiz. It's only 5 questions, but I don't know where I would have started before. But for example, let's just read, there's only 5 questions, but I'm going to read question number 2, and anybody can answer, including you. So it says, how do you generally view future opportunities or events? A, I look forward to them with excitement, expecting positive outcomes. B, I usually worry something bad will happen, even if things seem fine. C, I feel neutral and don't expect much either way. Or D, I often assume things won't work out and prepare for disappointment. Do you have a
I
letter?
think I'm usually A, but I mean it probably depends a little bit on what it is.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So A's were like the high optimism, and I said all A's, but it's all A's, but. And so what I was thinking, kind of as I was going into this with optimism is so much of the things that cause me worry revolve around, still kind of battling perfectionism to a degree and not wanting to make mistakes. Or so like if I book a speaking engagement, I'm always excited, right? I'm always looking forward to it and expecting it to be great. But if it's something new that a new group, a new topic, a big high pressure event, once it gets close, then I don't know if I worry something bad will happen, but it's there, even if everything's fine, I'm totally prepared. So it kind of depends, but I know that this has helped me really look at that positivity and again bring it to top of mind. So it's helped.
It's almost like with optimism, like we could almost use it as like a check too on okay, like how are we doing? Like in the sense that like I feel like if like depression, anxiety is something that someone struggles with, then of course optimism is going to go up and down. It's going to go up and down with kind of how those things are doing. And so like if you notice like optimism decreasing, it's also kind of a good thing to, okay, let me look at this and see, what's going on, that maybe I'm not seeing this in as positive of a light, or maybe I'm not as excited as I have been other times. Am I tired? We talked about kind of like the HALT acronym, the hungry, angry, lonely, tired. And so like those are the things that can, whether you're talking about mental health, recovery, or really even just day-to-day life, that we can struggle with whatever it is we're struggling with more if we're hungry, angry, lonely, tired. And so if optimism is going down, am I too tired? Am I
Yeah.
not taking care of myself?
I'm going to put, did we put that? I don't remember when we talked about that, but that's a good thing for us to put in there too, the HALT. I don't remember when we put that in there before. Going back just to, gosh, I have stuff everywhere. It's funny, neither one of us said anything about like goals, like SMART goals, or, not that that's bad. I mean, whatever we pick is what we pick, but just as a reminder, as we're kind of closing our time out, that this whole field of positive psychology is based on that PERMA, positive emotions. So it's all the things we've talked about with, and you said earlier, they all flow together, but positive emotions, how can you incorporate more of those? Is it watching the sunrise? Is it taking a warm bath? Is it, spending more time with friends? And then the letter E is engagement. And I did think about putting that in my top 5, just engagement being that sense of flow. When like a few times last week, I walked for 45 minutes because I was listening to that book about ritual. Mm-hmm. And it was just so interesting, and I was just learning. And so being engaged in something that you love, relationships, which, like we mentioned, I mean, I think Michelle has always valued relationships, but I'm not sure that I have as much until going through this. And then what's next? PER, meaning. And we both scored on that strengths assessment. We're both very Jesus following, Bible reading. Christy McClellan, I'm so grateful that she's a preacher, professor, writer. She's just amazing. So I've learned, I'll put some links for her in the show notes. Maybe I already did. So meaning in life. And what am I missing? Right. Achievements, which could be achievements as a parent, as a spouse, as a career person, as a whatever it is, what is it that you're achieving in your life? We did it.
All the way through module 10.
More music. There will be music. I will do it post-production.
And we definitely hope that this has cultivated more positive emotions in your life.
I've enjoyed it so much. And just going forward, we are probably going to maybe do a session or two about some other things as we approach the holidays. And then I think we're going to get into our next series, which will be about sleep. So it'd be nice to get that done during the holiday. I mean, it's another 10-week one, but it'd be good for people to have a little information on sleep around the holidays, maybe.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And it's for you, for a loved one that has trouble sleeping. Doesn't necessarily have to be you.
Yeah. Well, and everything we do.
Yeah.
Everything we do is about mental and emotional well-being. And if that means helping somebody else or helping yourself, or we're here for you. All right, Dara, are we done?
Yes, I've finished my snack and I'm almost done with my coffee. So yeah, we're done.
All right, well, let's do a cheers over. If you're not on YouTube, you won't see it, but just give us a clink. Cheers. And rate, review, download, visit our Facebook page, comment, let us know your top 5. And until we're together next time, consider
yourself hugged.
Mm.